Informed about the convention. About modernization. I have an organized opportunity to share this, how this convention has been implemented in Ukrainian realities within recent 3 years. Ukraine, the participant in the convention since 2010, and mainly there is some interesting nuances. The first, which I would like to note, that each small Ukrainian who has time and money just is capable to protect his privacy in the European Court for Human Rights. If he failed to do that in his country, under the Ukrainian laws, the same provision is applicable in Russia as well. This is just very important. All definitions which relate to the personal data in this audience, we couldn't speak about that. Just is just ending in the European Court, which have about 40 cases under Article 8 of the Convention where different things are being explained. I would like today to raise three issues. The first question, probably, I'll omit because it is specific, and will touch on it when I'll see that there is some people who are interested in that. This is system of domain names in view of the privacy. Regretfully, this system which exists now does not sustain criticism as for the privacy. Both by its privacy violating some provisions of convention and laws, and because of this uselessness on the protection of rights of the internet users who are eager to find who violated their rights. As statistics showed, 23% of the domain name systems turned out to be truthful. The remaining are just rubbish. It's the course for the society, and it's the course for the community involved in the internet development. The second, just very important question related to what Loretta mentioned. Internet doesn't have borders. One cannot specify where the Ukrainian internet borders, where the borders of internet in Russia, or where the borders end in those countries which signed the convention and those countries that have not signed the convention. Unless in the world there are states which don't have just obligations on the protection. Until then, there will be problems on the privacy protection on the internet. For example, we have websites registered in the U.S. by U.S.-based companies, which place all telephone directories from the of CRS countries, not only Ukraine, and so far there are no legal means to change that because there are no obligations on that side. There are no borders on the internet. I will speak about it a little bit later in detail. It's not clear either. There are approaches different to the borders on the internet, where an enterprise, a company, have been registered in which country, under which jurisdiction, by which jurisdiction the domain name has been registered, or the website where the processing of the personal data is carried out, in which country the hardware is located physically, and in which country users stay which entered that particular website. For just yesterday's case in France get it that the authorized French authority on the president just fined Google company because French users use Google. So we'll see what will be the lessons of that for us. There is another question. which is closer to the audience attending this event. It's the technologies. Some technologies, by their existence, bring additional rings to the privacy. Well, regretfully, in the world there is not a single legislation for all, but there are no single standards fully finalized technically that would take into account aspects of the privacy. And we have what we have. We have technology is our tracing website visitors. It's a good technology. Ukrainian experience demonstrated that at some websites, web visitors are traced by 30 different companies, which diseases were simply not needed. The website is so badly managed that no one just pays attention whose counters are placed on which other plugins are included. Tracking technologies are just extremely dangerous to privacy protection because it's not possible to trace them. 55th conference paid attention to that on the protection of the privacy data that has completed its work a couple of days ago in Poland. To that, the attention is paid by the working group on the protection of data in telecommunications. So far, there is no decision on it. There is good and bad practices. By 90%, how it will function depends on the people, in particular sitting in this room. There is self-regulation. There are good practice codes that can be applied or can be ignored. To apply laws directly to these issues is extremely important. It's extremely difficult, although there are such attempts as this relates to the particularities of the technologies. Social networks and plugins of social networks. Times when a person entered a website and maintained relations between the owners and have ended long ago.
There's practically no sites left with not only not having a tracking meter of technology, so just a range of technologies installed that don't even have an elementary like buttons from social networks, and there already were questions when, regardless of the fact whether the user really pushed the like button or didn't touch it, but the information that the site was visited by the user is anyway picked up by the companies operating social networks. And here there is an incredible amount of things that depend on the people administering the sites, and you really need to keep track on the performance. And Facebook have long ago issued a new version of the like button using 90%, 95% of the cases in Ukraine. An old button is used because that's more customary, that's more habitual, and there is a manual on how to use it that does not meet the guidelines of international organizations on the use of social networks. Another question that is posed by the agenda today of this forum is IPv6. IPv6 is a progress, breakthrough that really allows you to develop, to evolve, and relieve yourself of the limitations that were imposed to the development of the internet. But IPv6 allows you to clearly record the address of every not only person that is using a network or any device that is used that's connected to the network that is pocketed by somebody that lies in a pocket, like different gadgets. And there is a whole range of addresses in that case that incredibly changed the principles of identification of user identification in the online space, in the online world. And I would like to discuss on that. Of course, that's not a resolution of any theoretical questions, and it's not a shifting apart, but I would like to focus on that. So if there are questions, we'll talk in more detail. Well, all in all, this is what I would like to have highlighted today to the audience, to the floor. And wrapping up, I need a couple of seconds of my time. And a lot depends on the people that are putting internet in practice, that operate the internet every day, and that either go for meeting the legislation and guidelines of international organizations or ignore them. Our simple studies have shown that even the elementary privacy policy on websites is posted in the Ukrainian internet segment is posted by at most 20% of site operators, which speaks about the fact that the convention in itself, the convention stands alone from the life of internet communities so far, and hopefully today they have crossed over, at least in the discussion. Thanks.